everyone, welcome back to the more YouTube channel. It's Chris back with my rant stroke thought of the day. And surprise, surprise, it's all about the England job. I am wearing a white shirt, but I'm not wearing an England shirt. As you know, I was born north of the border, and my father would disown me if I wore one of them on these videos. But we're talking about the England manager's job and what it means for Newcastle, really, first and foremost. So England have a new manager, and that's right, it's not Eddie Howe, which is brilliant. So for me, that noise can now disappear back from where it came. Eddie Howe being consistently linked to the England job by every single fucking media pundit and journalist going, Eddie Howe's great for England, Eddie Howe's great for England, Eddie Howe's great for England. I think it's unsettled Eddie Howe, I really do. And, you know, he's never going to come out and say it. I think it's unsettled him. I think it's knocked him off his axis a little bit. You know, he started to ask the question, you know, will I get this opportunity again? And I think in the summer it did unsettle him. He didn't quite look himself. The changes upstairs, the England links, you know, and it's not been great for Newcastle. And that hasn't really affected us in terms of our league form. You know, we're still in a good position. You know, we haven't played great, but we're still in a decent league position. So hopefully now this is all done and dusted, Eddie can get back focused on the Newcastle job itself. I still think this noise will be in the background, but it might get louder if the New England manager starts to struggle or fails in the role. I mean, the noise from the media already has been absolutely ridiculous, which I'll get into in a minute. So yeah, I for one am glad that Eddie Howe is going to just be focused on being a Newcastle manager, not be linked to the England job. You know, he'll be linked to loads of other jobs, I'm sure, if he does well, because that's what football do. They try and take your manager and link him to another club, even if you're higher than them in the league. Go figure, Manchester United. So England's new manager is Thomas Tuchel. Again, hilarious. Manchester United have completely slept on this one. They've backed the egg with a goatee as Eric Ten Hag, who's fucking useless, and they've let Thomas Tuchel go to England, which is absolutely hilarious. So Thomas Tuchel, the serial winner, Thomas Tuchel, who has won the Bundesliga, Ligue 1, German Cups, Champions Leagues with the likes of Borussia Dortmund, Bayern Munich, Chelsea, PSG, you know, managed some of the best players in the world, Kylian Mbappe, Harry Kane, the England captain, you know, to name but two. This guy's got the England job at an 18-month contract, starts in January 2025, and the media have lost their mind. Now, just pause that for a second. This is the same media who all came together in unison, mourning the sad passing of Sven-Göran Eriksson, talked about how he was such a good England manager. Now, at the time, they didn't say that because having a foreigner, in their words, as the England manager was you know, the antithesis of wrong, you know, in terms of England. England manager should be English. I thought we'd move past this in 2024, but no. The dark side of the media, the rank side of the media, has come out for us all to see, you know, and people you'd expect better of, you know, Gary Neville, maybe not Jamie Carragher, but Gary Neville certainly. They've came out and they've said they're disappointed it's not an English coach. You know, Gary Neville saying that we're not doing ourselves any favour, you know, with England coaches and all that. Well, here's another thought, Gary. Tell the FA to lower the cost to get your coaching badges, because unless you're a exceedingly wealthy ex-footballer like yourself, you can't afford to go through your coaching badges. If you're in the lower leagues, there's some really talented managers in the lower leagues of football who are gasping for an opportunity, gasping for a chance, and can't afford to get their coaching badges to go through and do it. And even if they did, you wouldn't give them a chance anyway, because it'd just be somebody who was a good player gets the opportunity, like Steven Gerrard and Frank Lampard, who aren't good enough for that type of job either. More on them two in a second. But why are they losing their mind? I mean, the guy that literally has just walked away from the job in the shape of Gareth Southgate, what did he win as a manager? Fuck all as a manager. He was a failed Middlesbrough manager. The only reason he got the job in the first place is because exactly what's happened. And the English media drove every single viable candidate for the England job out into the wilderness. They didn't want anything to do with it. Remember Phil Scolari, the Brazilian manager, and I think Portuguese manager as well, didn't want nothing to do with it. Was linked to the job, had, you know, the Sun newspapers or somebody hiding in his bushes, picking through his bins, and he said, fuck that. And then England could not get anybody to take that job on. Roy Hodgson got a job over Harry Redknapp, more on him in a second as well. And that was probably the wrong call. That was because the FA didn't want a loose cannon who drives down with his Range Rover window down saying terrific all the time. You know, they wanted a guy that they could probably just, you know, say he'll follow the rules and he'll do things right by us because we're all old fucking farts in the FA and blah, 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 blah. And that's what the problem is with the FA, really. Now, this is a total change for them. The fact that they've appointed, you know, this kind of manager, a manager who's got a pair of nuts, a manager who's not scared to, you know, to rattle anybody and tell him to fuck off if he doesn't like, you know, the sound of what they're trying to tell him. And that's what Tuchel does. He falls out with players, he falls out with the board. You know, he's not arsed. He'll give it to you. And, you know, as a manager, he's a very good manager. He structures his teams very well. He's a very functional manager. You know, his football is decent to watch. It's front foot football, but it's structurally and tactically sound. You know, his win ratio is brilliant. I think he's over 50% in every single job bar one that he's had. You know, and as I said, he's managed some of the best players in the world, and he's won trophies way more than what Southgate could say that he did. But some of the stuff in the media has been absolutely abysmal. It's bordering on xenophobia, to be brutally honest with you. I mean, the Daily Mail, I think it was Jonathan Gould, wrote a piece with a headline, "A Dark Day for England. England take a gamble on a German." I mean, fuck me, really? A dark day for England? You make it sound like it's been some kind of fucking terrorist attack or something, you hyperbolic fucking dickhead. I mean, what is he doing? I wouldn't pay this guy to write a fucking shopping list, let alone a journalistic article, if that's the kind of bollocks he's coming out with. And the Daily Mail just goes, print, no problem with that at all. Ain't the first time they've done that, and it won't be the fucking last time either. And then the pundits come out, Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher, disappointed it's not English. Who's the good English candidates as an English coach? Who? You've got Eddie Howe. The Daily Mirror have already come out and said Eddie Howe snubbed by England. Did he even want the job? Did they speak to him? Did he say, no, you're all right, I'm happy with Newcastle, it's a great project, I want to stay where I am? Who knows? They don't fucking know. They're just speculating. You've got Gary O'Neill doing a good job at Wolves. Graham Potter hasn't had a job for 2 years. And then outside of that, fuck me, it's the relegation wheel of misfortune. Sean Dyche. Sean Dyche, is he going to be the England manager? And then you've got the other ones that came out of the woodwork. This is hilarious. So, Neville and Carragher, fair enough, in terms of punditry, they're kind of at the top of their game. But fucking hell, you've got Sam Allardyce on TalkSport saying how the English manager should be English. England manager should be English, sorry. This is the same guy who managed England for one fucking game before he was outed as a crooked, dodgy bastard from a dodgy sting by the journalists. I mean, fuck off, Sam. I don't think you're in a position to tell anybody about the England job, you fucking arsehole. You had your chance and you firmly pulled your pants down and shit the bed and tucked it in for a good night's sleep, you fucking dickhead. And then Harry Redknapp's come out, talking about how he's disappointed and why is there not England coaches, and I think he threw Eddie Howe's name in there, but then he threw in Steven Gerrard and Frank Lampard. What the fuck have those two done? Fucking Frank Lampard went to Chelsea, did all right at his first spell, disastrous in the second, bombed at Everton, did all right at Derby, but thought he was too big for his britches. Steven Gerrard, good at Rangers, went to Villa, completely got found out. He's over in fucking Saudi Arabia. Just because these guys are good players doesn't make them good choices for the England manager's job. It's an absolute fucking joke. The media are making absolute dicks of themselves, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. This is why people are turning to fan-led media to hear their talking and hear their thought process and kind of feedback on these decisions, because the journalists and the media and the pundit are so one-sided. They've got agendas. I mean, fucking Danny Mills, that England superstar Danny Mills, started to critique Tuchel because he was wearing a cap and a hoodie. I mean, what? If Jurgen Klopp had got the job, he wears a cap and a hoodie. Would you have to go at him, Mills? Would you fuck? And this is the difference, really. They're happy to have a foreign manager. It's just the foreign manager that they want. They wanted Pep. No chance. They wanted Klopp. No chance, because those two managers are at the top of their game. They're not going to go and be the England manager because they're going to have their pick of any job in the world. If Jurgen Klopp decided he wanted to go be a manager again, he could get Real Madrid, he could get Barcelona. He's not going to walk into the fucking England manager's job. Same with Pep. When Pep decides his time's up at City, which I don't think will be any time soon, to be honest with you, especially if they win that court case against the 115 alleged charges. Pep could go back to Barca. That would be a fairy tale ending for him. He could go and manage Spain. Why would he want to manage England? The arrogance of the English media and the English pundits, ex-players, they think these top managers are going to go and manage their country is ridiculous. Tuchel is a very, very good manager. They've got a good manager there. And I think, for one, that he'll do a decent job with England. If they back him and support him and the players buy into his ethos, I think he'll do a very good job for England. But what's worried me already is he'll probably walk because of the horrible, rank antics of the press. I mean, we've seen this before. We've seen it with Sir Bobby Robson, God rest his soul. We've seen it with Graham Taylor, God rest his soul. They attack the England managers. It doesn't even matter if they're English. They attack them. They pull up dirt on them. I mean, I've already seen a piece in the Mail where they're talking about Thomas Tuchel's divorce. What the fuck has that got to do with his managerial credentials? It's absolutely rancid. And the media are showing themselves up here. They're showing that dark side of them that everybody knew was there, and they try and hide behind, fun little titles and podcasts that they do because they want a piece of this media as well. Not happy to get everybody's money from TV subscriptions. They want to come take over this this space as well from people who've just come up with a good concept and pushed their channels and worked hard to get it going and get it moving, and if they're lucky, earn an income from it. Oh no, the big media moguls want that money as well, so fuck them. But going back to this point, if you've got a guy coming on that just wants to talk about the dress code of the manager, don't get him on. Go and speak to fan-led media instead. Go and speak to somebody who's got a fucking clue. You know, watch them. There's some really good people out there. There's plenty of them. Just go and look at YouTube and you'll find them. Maybe not get me on because I swear too much. You don't like what I say, so I'm not asked. I don't give a shit. If you like what I want, if you like what I've got to say, smash subscribe, guys, and help get us to 9k. I'd love you to do it. But yeah, my thoughts on it in closing, from Newcastle's perspective, really happy Eddie Howe is going to be away from all this noise now and concentrate on the job at hand. I think Tuchel's a good appointment. I think the media need to grow up, get a grip of themselves. I think it's pathetic the way that they're acting. It's bordering on xenophobia, and I hope Tuchel does a good job for England and shoves it right down their throats as well. But let us know what you guys think about this. Obviously, from a Newcastle fan's perspective, are you happy that Eddie is no longer linked to the job? And from the England manager's perspective, are you happy with Tuchel, or did you want an England manager, and if so, why? We always like to hear from you. Drop a comment. We'll do our best to reply to you. You take the time to type, we'll take the time to reply. Have a cracking day wherever you are, everybody, and we'll see you later. Auf Wiedersehen.
Hey!